Well, Prof, I really have to go back to some of those issues because now you're a professor of business, accounting, and economics. We really must see what we can draw out from you. Now we're talking about policies. We have seen policies, beautiful ones, fantastic policies over the years, to the extent that we have told ourselves that we're now looking inwards. We're trying to develop what we can find in our own land, in our country. Agriculture was one of those, and we thought that was going to help us to bring in the desired revenue. But as we speak, even oil still does not even get exported. We take it out, we refine it, and we bring it in at a higher cost for it to be subsidized by the government. What exactly are we missing out in this whole equation when we bring up policies and vision and dreams year in, year out? It has become perennial. What is it that we're missing out that hasn't actually seen the fruition of some of these plans?
What we have not done is to encourage the arm of an economy that helps it grow, expand, and that is manufacturing. And I've said this over and over again. For every one manufacturing job that we create 3 auxiliary jobs with it. So every time you open a factory and you drop one processor or worker in it, you have created jobs for 3 other people outside of that environment. The person who's going to bring in the raw materials, the person who is going to sell the finished goods, and the person who is going to help you with all of the auxiliary services in it. We have allowed our manufacturing sector to die, but all hope is not lost. We may not be able to do the heavy manufacturing that we were doing in the 60s and the 70s, but we can look at Nigeria as a technology hub. The knowledge economy is what's trending now. So let's capitalize on that knowledge economy. That's what India is doing. That's what Pakistan is doing. Businesses from the United States and Europe using services in all of these other countries. We are populous and we are smart people. But we have to create an environment where that would function. If you were going to use technology, you need power. If you're going to use technology, you need bandwidth. These are some of the areas that our government could focus on. Let's find a way to export what we have. Our people, our intellect, our drive, our passion for good things, for our good taste. All of these could be converted into foreign exchange. Even at my own small level, for example, I am an exporter of knowledge from this country. At least 60% of my staff are paid by my affiliates in Europe, in the United States. And so they get paid in euro, they get paid in dollars, because we are giving them what we have in terms of knowledge. So let's focus on, we cannot go back and start manufacturing tires and things like that. That is over. They've taken them to other countries and we've lost it. But let's focus on the future. Let's look at what technology can do for us. Let's look at what even agriculture, powered with technology. Even the thing that we did in agriculture the last few years, even though we have not felt the buoyancy of it, it's not going to turn around not even in 4 years. My father had the opportunity of working with farmers. He was the chairman of the cocoa marketing board back in the day. And he put some things in place that helped the cocoa farmers at that time. That was when cocoa became a major export for this country. And over the years, They just let all of those things get run down.
You know, that's the risk in all of this, you say. And if you say we've been able to achieve quite a lot in agriculture, and you say it wouldn't just translate into that fantastic moment we've all been waiting for, it will take about 4 or 5 years. How best can we sustain it so that we don't wait and at the end of the day all of those gains will fizzle out?
Well, I say, and I wish our political scene in this country is mature enough to leave somebody there to keep doing what he or she is doing if they're doing it well.
But again, sorry to cut you there before you move on, but it's something that we have started seeing on the continent, in Africa. Just yesterday, when the all-time war was declared on Al-Shabaab by Uhuru Kenyatta, he fired his chief, and you wouldn't believe that the man he hired was from the opposition, or rather is from the opposition. So if you're talking about us sustaining fantastic brains and minds, irrespective of what leaning, politically speaking now, they are, then we can actually sustain such dream and vision. That's what you mean?
That's what I mean. So if somebody is doing a good job, and word on the street with the agricultural minister is he's doing a good job. So when whomever, PDP, APC, SDP, whoever gets there would have enough sense to keep that person in place so that there is continuity, so that we can reap the fruits of all the things and all the work that has been done.
So are you scared then, because Sulaiman's asking about timing, so are you scared then about the fact that we have an election just coming a couple of months away, and yet you were saying that we're faced with something that looks like it might plunge us into a recession?
I'm not scared because we don't know, how the elections are going to play out. But we know Nigeria is going to be around, and whomever Nigerians put in place is going to have to find a way to deal with this, whether it's a recession or it's just a blip on the chart or whatever it turns out to be. Whenever it's coming in, should brace themselves for what they're going to find when they get there and deal with it.
Some people argue, so you've argued that, whatever happens, the poorest of the poor should be protected, and they would tell you that majority of Nigerians are poor. We saw what happened the year that, the federal government tried to take away subsidy, and, the ripples are still being felt, even though, yes, it was taken away partially, and the governments at all levels have tried to show what it is, especially the federal government have tried to show what it is that they've done with the subsidy that was taken away. How do you think that debate might come up anytime soon, and is it something that we should really be considering?
You mean the subsidy removal? Well, Nigerians don't talk. Nigerians don't complain. This subsidy issue has been brewing underground for several months now. Nobody's coming out and confronting it. People are speculating when we get into 2015 they're going to bring it back and pull the rug from under us. But there's nobody out there calling these guys to a debate and saying, excuse me, let's talk.
Well, I think we'll talk. We're just going to short break and we'll come back. And I think what Zureirat is also talking about here is something that I also want you to react to, because over time you talked about Cocoa Board, and she said, well, if we keep on exporting cocoa, and we know we love chocolates, yeah, some of us do, and we still haven't been able to see how we can get a processing system here, then we'll forever remain poor. Well, that's after this break. Well, closing moments with Professor Abiola Owosika-Fagbetue, and we're looking at the country's economy and see how we can rejig and get it running and smoothly too. Well, before that break, Zuret was asking about cocoa, that it shouldn't be all about export. And of course, we can also key that into what Egwandutona is saying, that talking about manufacturing, why would the government spend 9.6 billion naira to import stove from South Africa instead of setting up a factory here, or a time when we're talking about developing cooking gas culture?
Well, let me respond to the cocoa comment first. Chocolate is great. We all love it. But it's not a staple. It's not a necessity. It's not a case of you don't eat chocolate for several months, you're going to die. However, we need, well, some people would say, yeah, they will probably die. But the idea, though, is you look at the value of export versus import. If we sell this commodity, how much does it bring to this country? And then how much of what it brings in do we spend on the processed product, in this case chocolate? We look at crude oil, refined oil. We sell crude, we buy a lot of refined products, you know, the mosquito repellents, the engine oil, all of these things that come out of the crude that we're selling to other people, we're importing back. That is a net loss. But the case of cocoa, I don't believe will end in a net loss. There would be a net gain. There are the likes of Cadbury and Nestle and the rest of them that are, and they're not even doing most of that in Nigeria anymore. I understand Cadbury is only doing Tom Tom in Nigeria. The rest of it is being done in Ghana because there's no power to keep them profitable. So yes, cocoa's as export, I believe, would be a net benefit to the country.
Yeah, can you comment in 30 seconds on the stove issue?
Well, that has always been my, if you remember, I said the things that we're importing in this country, we have no business importing. We have brains in Nigeria that I know can help us put together a plant that would build things like stove, refrigerator, the whole bit. Why are we not doing that?
Well, Professor Abiola Owosika-Fagbetue would like to thank you so very much for spending time with us. She's been speaking on Nigeria's economy and austerity measures, and well, she's optimistic, and she says, well, it's a blessing in disguise if only we are serious, talking about the we here now, the government and those who should implement some of these decisions. Well, we'll take a moment now. We'll return shortly. Stay with us.